So today I want to share a couple of success stories with you that really highlight how simple manifestation is, and that in fact, the more we keep this process extremely simple, the better the outcomes are. For a while now, I've been thinking about making some videos that are really like just about sharing success stories, because I know that's really inspirational to you guys. Also, success stories, they often clearly show like what the proper process of manifestation is. So in this video, I'm just gonna share these two success stories. The first one is a client success story, specifically from a client who took a course from me. And then the other success story is one of my own that just happened that I almost like don't even wanna share because it's almost embarrassing to share it, but it's so good and it so highlights, well, one, how much resistance doesn't matter, but then also how, again, this is just simple. This is simple. And of course, along the way, as I describe these success stories, I will explain the mindset and the practice behind it. So you are either gonna get the reminder that you need today to get you back on track if you've been a little bit off track in your mindset or in your practice or giving in too much to your resistance, or maybe some of you are here for the first time, learning this knowledge for the first time. Either way, you're gonna get a lot out of this video. So before I jump into the success stories, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Genevieve. I'm a spiritual teacher, a manifestation coach, an energy worker, and I have lots of ways that you can work with me. All the links to all this stuff is down in the description below. I offer courses. I also offer private coaching. I also offer group coaching. You can do the group coaching. It's a once a month, every last Saturday of the month. I do a group coaching call for the platinum tier members of the YouTube membership channel. And it's best to look at the tiers of my YouTube membership. It's best to look at those tiers from a laptop or computer. If you look at YouTube from your phone app, if you look at the membership portion from your phone app, for whatever reason, it doesn't show the tiers of membership options. So anyway, so if you want to join the platinum tier of my membership, join the group coaching calls, look at that on your computer, not your phone. And then of course, if you don't do any of that today, I just ask that you give this video a like and subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss out on all of the amazing free content, free information I am providing for you in my little corner of the internet here. So let's get into this. Let me first set up the context of this particular success story. This is a client who just bought a course from me. This isn't someone that I actually did private, talking, coaching with. They just did my 5-week manifestation challenge course. And that course in particular is really good for people who just want a very exact but simple structure. I walk you through 5 weeks of, again, giving you very exact instructions of what to do. You do it, but it's very simple. And by simple, what do I mean by that? I mean, it's not a very emotional course. It's very much just like, do these things. Do not waver in dropping your persistence of doing these things. Stay diligent, and that every day you're just gonna think this way. Because also I'll just say, spoiler alert, a big part of this particular course is affirming, but I give you in-depth instructions on like, stick to it, keep affirming, and just decide to let go of everything else. As we say in manifestation world, we're just gonna be neutral to circumstances now. We're not gonna keep feeding meaning into them. We're also not gonna be so reactive to our own emotions. For those of you who have been on my channel for a while, I talk about this a lot, of just being able to feel your emotions, but just be like, whatever, that's how I feel, but I'm still gonna think this way that I've chosen to think. I'm gonna be very diligent and structured and practiced, and that this is how I always choose to think, even if I feel a certain way one day, or even if a circumstance in the physical world pops up, I'm just being neutral. So the course itself, again, it's very unemotional in that the focus is like, just do this thing and see what happens. So back to this guy. He gets the course. I don't know him. Again, I've never worked with him personally, but he gets the course. And by the end of it, he emails me and he says, how can I keep this as vague as possible? I always want to keep this anonymous. But basically he says, so he is manifesting an SP, a female SP. He's a guy manifesting a woman. And he pretty bluntly told me that he went into the course in a very like, I don't know what's going to happen with this. Like, he kind of was naturally in a good place of detachment, because a lot of people will go into a course or manifestation coaching or just, attempting manifestation at all. They'll go into it with high expectation, high desperation, and like, oh my God, I need to do this to get my result. He went into it, he told me, he went into it kind of just like, well, let's just see what happens. I'm just going to do this course. I'm just going to do what this lady says. And he kind of went into it with this sort of like natural sense of detachment, which, as a lot of you know, is kind of key. It's really good to go into your manifestation work with a, let's just be scientific about it. Like, let's just try this and just see what happens. But leaving out that like desperate, like, oh my God, I need to do this to get my results. Like, we're just leaving that behind, and we're in this just sort of like surrendered, kind of detached, I am just going to try this and see what happens kind of thing. So he was in a good mindset for that. He probably didn't know at the time, but he was in a good mindset for that. So anyway, so in his email, he says he goes into it with that mindset of like, I don't know, I'm just going to try this and see what happens. He followed my instructions. And again, to keep it vague, but to give you the right details, it was about the 4th week of doing the challenge that this woman that he had not been in contact with, she was with a third party. They had a bit of an awkward breakup. From what it sounds like initially the breakup was maybe his idea, but then it was one of those complicated things where he felt like he wanted her back, especially when he saw her with someone else. Again, not to go into too much details, but just to set the scene a little bit. And so yeah, they had been in this kind of awkward no contact for a while, and he knew that she was with some other dude. But by the 4th week of him doing this, all of a sudden, she's just like messaging him, just hitting him up, almost as if nothing had ever happened. Like, she's suddenly being very comfortable in her communication towards him again. And she didn't necessarily come in a romantic way. And I will say that's very normal for SPs. Like, if you're manifesting a relationship of any kind, it's very normal that maybe they come in and then things build momentum, but it's normal that things might come in as just like friendly banter again at first. And so what he was surprised about was like, whoa, she is showing up as if nothing ever happened. She's just chatting to me as if we're just good buds. Again, it wasn't initially super romantic yet, but she's just chatting in this comfortable way. And he was just so, pleasantly surprised that, wow, okay, all I had to do was just think in this very particular but positive way about her. I do that for 4 weeks. And then all of a sudden she just comes back and like, I didn't have to do anything except just think, in this kind of specific positive way about it. And then she comes back in and is acting like nothing ever happened. And there's this comfortable vibe between us. And it's like, yeah, it really is that simple. I feel like what so many people are doing, and especially people who are drawn to my channel, because I obviously do like to go deep sometimes into psychological issues, emotional issues that can affect people when they're manifesting. But sometimes people will turn their old story into a project that they want to solve and figure out before they can manifest. Like, people will kind of make up new limiting beliefs like, oh, well, I can't really manifest my SP until I really, fix my self-esteem, or I can't manifest the money that I want or the job I want until I, lose a bunch of weight, or until I fix my mindset about it. It's like we start creating all these other conditions. It's like a perfectionistic mindset about manifestation. And sometimes what adds into it is honestly listening to maybe too many voices telling you about manifestation, because there are, unfortunately, some people talking as if like, yeah, you can't manifest until you've regulated your nervous system. And that's not really true. Of course, it's, as I've talked about before, it's great and very helpful to be regulating your nervous system as you're manifesting, but does it need to be a rule? Like a rule we're suddenly making, like, oh, I can't manifest anything I want unless I've regulated my nervous system, or unless I solve all my old emotional problems. Like, no, you do not have to do that. You just need to keep it simple. And as I said, for him, he was not going into this with this like high level of desperation. He was very just like, let's just see what happens. I got nothing to lose really. My expectations are low, but I'm just gonna let's just see what happens. And honestly, that's a great mindset to have, because you're not putting so much pressure and resistance on the 3D to please deliver it to me. I've got to have it, and then constantly checking for it. He was naturally not doing that, but he obviously was naturally following my instructions, just thinking the way that I told him to think, and in this kind of just low pressure way, like, okay, just gonna think this way and see what happens. Keeping it that simple got him this result after 4 weeks. So that's the first success story. Let me go to the next one, which is again mine, that I'm low-key embarrassed to share. But here we go. And honestly, this success story, it's gonna highlight, it's a simple theme, but it's gonna highlight how meaningless resistance is. And I keep getting humbled by this, especially lately. I feel like I've been manifesting a lot of stuff where it's almost like just being proven to me that you can have a fair amount of resistance about something. And as long as you are, again, keeping that focus, you keep going back to what you're claiming, the resistance doesn't matter. As long as you keep going back to, okay, I feel this resistance, but I'm just going to go back to what I'm claiming. This is what happened to me. So quickly, let me explain this. So I live in a leased home at the moment, and my lease is up to be renewed. And out of nowhere, my landlord, and I wasn't anticipating this, but this is just life. My landlord let me know that he needed to raise my rent by 8%. And I was like, at first annoyed, because I'm like, again, I wasn't thinking about this. I wasn't manifesting this. But again, this is just life. And this happens to all of us, where sometimes things are just randomly thrown at you. And it's very important to not overly take credit for it. Like if you're one of those, because it's a low self-concept thing, if you're one of those low self-concept people where like every little thing that's thrown at you that's like seemingly negative or not exactly what you wanted, if you are overly reacting to it, like, oh my God, what did I do to manifest that? That's really bad. That's a low self-concept way to look at yourself and look at reality, to be overly reactive to, oh my God, how did I manifest this? But anyway, I was still obviously just annoyed, where it's like, well, why did this happen? This wasn't something I was thinking about. But again, it doesn't matter. Things just happen sometimes. You just got to accept it and let it go. So anyway, I'm faced with this thing. So I'm being offered an 8% raise in my rent. I obviously didn't want that. So I started negotiating with my landlord, and I'll just be honest, it kind of wasn't going well. My negotiations, my initial negotiation attempts, they weren't going super well. So here's where I actually decided to start affirming, because I'll say up until that point, like him telling me about the raise in rent, then me negotiating, I wasn't consciously really manifesting. I was kind of just going with the flow of just whatever my conscious mind wanted to come up with. But after the negotiation started and it kind of wasn't going well, I was like, okay, I'm just going to affirm what I want here. And I started to affirm a very specific amount of money I wanted to pay in rent, because I was understanding that, yeah, oh, it's fair if we raise the rent a little bit. But in my mind, I was like, maybe like a 3 or 4% raise in rent, not 8%. So I came up with a very specific number in my head, and I started affirming that number. I pay this much money in rent. I pay this much money in rent. And here's the thing. As I said, I had a lot of resistance to this, especially because I had just experienced that my landlord was not really seemingly open to my negotiation. Like he had already decided the amount he wanted me to pay, and he didn't seem open to negotiating that number. So I'm still affirming, this is how much I pay in rent, this is how much I pay in rent. But there's this other part of me that's like, this is dumb, Genevieve. Like, why are you even affirming this? Like, this is not going to happen. Like, it was so loud that honestly, I didn't even affirm very much, because I was like, yep, I should probably just accept that I'm going to have to pay the higher number. I should just accept that. So I'm like truly in so much resistance. But then I was so humbled, because after I started affirming, a couple days after, landlord calls me, we have a really good talk, and without me even saying anything, he decided to offer me the exact number that I had been affirming. And I was like jaw dropped, because I was like, oh my God, he just said the number that I had been affirming, and I didn't even have to say anything. Like I decided to go into this phone call, like not gonna negotiate anymore. I'm just gonna be, understanding and listen to what he has to say, and I'm not gonna push him at all on it. And again, I didn't say anything, and then all of a sudden he was just like, so yeah, we would like to offer you this amount. And I was like, whoa, that is the amount that I was affirming. And even though I had so much resistance, it still weirdly manifested. I will say though, with this particular success story, I just explained this one about myself and the lease, I think part of what also made this manifestation work is that I decided to go into a lot of love towards my landlord. Like I just went into the state of like, you know what? I just want to focus on the relationship with him remaining good. And I'm just going to consciously push out a lot of love and acceptance towards him. And I kind of, even though I was affirming that number, I was kind of also de-emphasizing the importance of that. Like, oh my God, I need that number. Like I wasn't at all in that. And as you're noticing, this is a similar theme that you notice to the first success story. Like the more you're in that, oh my God, I'm not going to be okay. If I don't get exactly what I'm affirming, oh my God, I'm probably going to have a big reaction and I'm not going to be okay. both me and my success story and the other guy were not really in that state of being like, oh, if it doesn't work out, I'm gonna freak out. Both of us in our success stories were in this kind of like, again, let's just see what happens. Like, I'm just gonna push out, for me, the most loving energy I can about the situation. But even if I don't get the exact number I want, I'm just gonna be okay. There's an interesting paradox that when you're that detached, like when you're that sovereign from your results, where again, you're not in that like, oh my God, I need this so bad, I'm not gonna be okay. When you've reclaimed your sovereignty from the result, it has this very paradoxical effect where you're much more likely to get what you want because you're no longer so like obsessive and possessive, like I've gotta just push and push. Like that pushing energy, that's the kind of resistance that can scare the 3D away. But again, when you have that kind of scientific, open-minded mindset of like, I don't know what's gonna happen here, it's not really a big deal either way, but this is my preference and this is the way I'm gonna keep thinking, but I'm not like obsessing about it. I'm just choosing, this is my choice, and I keep claiming it and I'm just going about my life. That's when things work out well. So anyway, this is what I have for you today. I'm gonna try to keep sharing more success stories because I know that that's really, again, inspirational for you guys. And yeah, they also highlight kind of how to be doing this, how to be practicing this yourself. So let me know in the comments below any thoughts, any questions, whatever's on your mind. And as I said, if you want to do any of the courses that I offer, all the links to all the different courses are down in the description below. And that's all I got for you guys. I will see you in my next video. All right, bye.